Anyway, Ted, it's a pleasure to have you at Chicago Jewish Cafe. I have followed your blog for a long time now, and you're doing great things.
Thank you.
But one thing I'd like to ask you about, and that is your recent conference about the Jordan is the solution for all of our problems.
Well, here's the key in the Jordan solution. As you know, there's all kinds of solutions that people have recommended. Carolyn Glick has a solution, Martin Sherman, Bennett, everybody has a solution. But nobody has a solution that's ready to go. There's no consensus in Israel for any solution. You can't get enough of a vote for the government to act on it, plus international pressure. Now, if you go to America, the same problem exists. If you try to get Congress is not where you should go, because foreign policy, as you know...
Ted, before we're going to go there, I would like to understand, what do you propose? I mean, what exactly that Jordan, the solution?
We want the king to be removed from office, and we want it no longer to be a monarchy, and we want Mudar Zahran to be appointed as the interim president to run the country. That's what we want.
First of all, what does it mean? What does it mean for us as Jews? What does it mean for Israel? And what right do you have to tell another country that they should change their form of government?
I'm not telling them to do anything. President Obama decided to get rid of Mubarak. Nobody asked, what right do you have? They just make it happen. And they don't need Congress to consent. Congress isn't even involved at all. It's all up to the president to decide to do it, either directly or indirectly.
So basically what you're saying, that from your point of view, in the interests of, let's say, of Israel, as I understand, or in the interest of Jewish people as the whole.
And the interests of the Palestinians, both will benefit.
And in the interests of Arabs who reside, when you say Palestinians, what do you mean? You know, who reside in Judea and Samaria, or what do you mean by Palestinians?
No, all of them. All of them. First of all, in Jordan, at this moment, they are being run by a Hashemite monarch, and there's only 82 Hashemites living in Jordan.
Okay.
They are.
Okay, I understand. So now you're saying
this gives a greater voice to Palestinians in Jordan. So that's the first thing.
Okay, so you're talking about when you say Palestinians in Jordan, you mean who? You mean there's some so-called Palestinians in so-called refugee camps?
Yes.
And the others are citizens or subjects of Jordan.
Yes.
Now,
but they're Palestinians. Surprising.
But please tell me, what do you mean then by Palestinians? Because in my mind, Palestinians is maybe different than what is in your mind. So what are we talking about? And also the question is, are you approaching this thesis, abdication of King of Jordan, from the point of view of interests of Palestinians, or from the point of view of Jews? And if it's both, then are you telling me that we have identical interests?
Yes.
So what is Palestinian in your mind?
All right. If you go back to the Balfour Declaration, it declared Palestine, which was a province of Turkey at the time, or Ottoman Empire, that it was then designated as the homeland for the Jewish people. And the Jewish people were referred to at that time as Palestinians. And
right. So why you're calling now Arabs in Jordan and in Judea?
Well, it's a progression. It's a progression. I have my thoughts are more detailed than you permit me the time to express. So you keep changing the question before I complete a detailed answer.
I apologize. I apologize.
You understand? I've got a lot to say, and if you cut me off, you've got half an answer.
Okay. I'm not going to be cutting you off, but the thing is that I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to explain it, so let me do it.
Okay. So we're not going to talk. We're going to talk about. I'd like to talk about the idea, because the idea is very interesting to me.
All right. So let's focus there. The idea is that Mudar gets installed as the government, and the king abdicates. How that happens is a whole other issue. But we want Mudar to be installed as president. Now, Mudar is committed to having friendly relations with Israel that the king does not have. The king is forever hurting Israel in many ways. Mudar wants to work closely with Israel, and he wants Israel to help Jordan and the Palestinians living there to improve their economy, which is exactly what is good for them and is good for us. That's what Mudar wants.
But that's not what really Palestinians want. They do not want good economy.
Well, there you are. Now, let me just finish that point.
Yeah.
One of the things that I insisted when I started to help Mudar was that they had to invite all Palestinians, that's the people you presently refer to as Palestinian, to return to Jordan and get citizenship, get pensions, health care, education, everything. So it's like the right of return for Jews going to Israel. This is a right of return for all Palestinians to go to Jordan. That's what they will do. They will open the door. Now, what Israel does is separately. First of all, who are the Palestinians? The Palestinians are everybody living on the West Bank and everybody who fled the West Bank when Jordan took over in 1949, like due to the conflict, and they end up in refugee camps in Lebanon and Syria. They're called Palestinians too. Many Arabs in Israel think of themselves as being Palestinians, and all those people, and you might say all Arabs living in Israel, if you want to be the broadest, are invited to go and get citizenship in Jordan. That's what Mudar will do for us.
While retaining residency in Israel?
Well, I'm going to come to that. I said that's what Mudar will do for us. Now the question is, what do we do? From Mudar's point of view, he isn't going to in any way force the Palestinians living in Judea and Samaria to come to Jordan. That's not his plan. But there's nothing to prevent Israel from offering incentives for them to move to Jordan, worthwhile incentives. So that's the plan. Israel has to commit itself to incentivizing emigration to Jordan. And
why do you think that any of those Palestinians will take advantage of it?
Yeah, we've already done small polls. If you say to a Palestinian who's living in a refugee camp in Israel, if Jordan offers you citizenship, a normal life, health care, education, and a job, plus a free home, a residence, fully paid for, will you go there? And the answer invariably is yes. Compared to what they have now, that's a fabulous offer. And that's what part of our plan is. Mudar opens the door, and we encourage all the Palestinians to go there. We don't have to have all of them go there, but enough that makes it no risk for Israel to annex all the land and not worry about the numbers of how many Palestinians and so on. That's the plan in essence.
So basically what you're saying, that this Mudar, who I do not know who the guy is, I understand that he is living now in hiding in England.
Yes.
You, for some reason, believe that he should be the top guy in Jordan.
I've known him for many years, and currently we talk every day. So I have a close relationship with him. He came to Israel twice since I've been here, and I meet with him and very much am part of what he does when he's here. And when he was making the platform where he was trying to get organized the Jordan Opposition Coalition in Jordan, and so he had to have a platform. And he asked me, after he produced the first draft of the platform, to review it and tell him what I thought. So I directed him, I said, listen, you want to work well with Israel, this is what you have to do for Israel in preparing the platform. The key is you have to invite all Palestinians to come to Jordan. That's the key. And that's all you really have to do. Now, Mudar then had to go to all the Palestinians in Jordan and say to them, I want you to join this platform. And they had to look at the platform to decide whether they want to do that. So he had the job of reconciling what I wanted with what they wanted. And what he got in the end was a platform that advances a democratic, secular state. That's what everybody agreed to. Now, 2 years...
Democratic, secular state in Jordan among Palestinians where Hamas is the dominant group?
Not exactly. You're not. The dominant group, well, I can't, no, don't say that. There were two groups, and there's presently one group. 2 years ago, everybody said that the Bedouin were supporters of the king, and if the Palestinians, who are 75% of the population, if they rise up, the Bedouin have the guns and the Bedouin will kill them. So that was the old story. Now, the second group that I say is still here is the Muslim Brotherhood. They have their headquarters, their world headquarters is in Jordan, and they are supportive of the king. Okay, now let's come back to the Bedouin. The king started running short of money, so he started cutting down the special things that he gave the Bedouin to such an extent that he alienated them, and the Bedouin have now joined Mudar's coalition. And one of the leaders of the largest clan, it's a 1 million person clan, I brought over from America to speak at the conference. And he's the head of a 1 million person Bedouin clan. And keep in mind that minimum of 75% of the Jordanians are Palestinians. So Mudar has all those Palestinians backing him, and he also has the Bedouin backing him. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood. Did you know that the Gulf Emirates, all the Gulf states, have banned the Muslim Brotherhood and has designated them as a terrorist organization?
You are getting, Ted, I'm sorry. I'd like to understand a
Sure.
bigger picture.
Absolutely.
You're getting into details, you know, this guy and one.
Oh, you got the plan. I got you. Gave you the plan. That's it.
No,
Open the door for
I have
us.
questions about the basic idea. I mean,
Yeah.
because, for example, you tell me the Arabs in Judea and Samaria are going to accept the citizenship of Jordan. By the way, I think all of them have passports, Jordanian passports today anyway.
That, exactly. I didn't say not.
Okay.
They are all citizens.
This guy, your friend,
Yeah.
becomes a king of Jordan. Why? I mean, king.
Not the king. No, not the king.
No.
It's not going to be a monarchy anymore.
So how do you know that he's going to become the top guy?
Because America will put him in power.
Oh, so he's going to be a puppet of the United States.
Well, not really, but yes, in a way he will. But we are not. We have instructed both the UN, like they asked us, how will we do this? So we said, number one, we don't want Israel to back us. We want Israel to continue to back the king and be against us. Number two, we don't want America to back us. We want America to be against us. Nevertheless, behind the scenes, America will make it happen that Mudar becomes the head of the interim government. but we don't want to appear as puppets of America or Israel.
When I appear does not mean that they're not puppets, and does not mean that
They may be. What do you care?
Recognize it.
What do you care?
What do you mean?
As long as they have the power, and America is keeping them in power, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who can recognize it. All Palestinians will recognize it.
Let them recognize it.
It's going to be there. But besides it, he may be killed, and then what is going to happen? You're putting everything on one guy.
Well, first of all, he has a coalition, firstly. Secondly, the Jordanian army is totally controlled by the United States, and he will have the army keeping him in power and keeping the border between Jordan and Israel safe, just as the king did.
And why would he do it? Why would his basic interests change fundamentally from what it is the interest of King of Jordan?
100 years ago, when Emir Faisal entered into an agreement with Weizmann, called the Faisal-Weizmann Agreement, Faisal invited Jewish emigration, big time, to come and take advantage of the Balfour Declaration. And all he expected the Jews to do was to help the Arabs with their economy.
Yeah.
That was the deal.
It reminds me exactly of the position of Shimon Petlura in Ukraine in 1919. The result was prequel to Holocaust.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We do not need to help Arabs to do anything. Let them do it themselves.
Well, let me. I have more information on your key question.
Yeah.
If you look at what's happening in Saudi Arabia now, they have all banned the Muslim Brotherhood. And Saudi Arabia has now come up with a visionary plan. This is a lot of Trump's work, whereby they are abandoning Wahhabism in a big way. They've even canceled the religious police that were run by the Wahhabist imams. And they have taken a decided point of preventing any Arab terror from emanating, changing their ideology. And that's why they've ostracized Qatar, who are a big backer of terror and want to continue backing Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. So all these Arab countries, including Egypt, have banned the Brotherhood. And they also, they will be bankrupt. Saudi Arabia, believe it or not, will be bankrupt in 5 years, because at this price of oil, their surplus will run out in 5 years. They desperately need their economy, and they can't do it. They need two things to switch from an oil economy to a Western normal economy. One, they have to Westernize, which means they have to get rid of political Islam and Sharia law. And two, they have to invite Israel to help them.
My question is this. What do you see as the long-term interest of Israel vis-a-vis the Arabs that you call Palestinians?
Well, a year ago, no one would ever have imagined that Saudi Arabia would then back off from Wahhabism and the teaching of that ideology. Yet, they are doing it in spades today. They've got they've got the United Arab Emirates, they've got Egypt, they have Abu Dhabi, they have all these countries who are supporting the idea of let us get rid of extremists, let's stop financing them, and let's ban the Muslim Brotherhood. Who would have believed that? And they are now liberalizing. Their women can drive. They've taken the religious police off the streets. It's just beginning. And they desperately need Israel for two things. One is to help defeat Iran. And secondly, is to help them improve their economy.
You're not answering my question. What do you see is Israel's interest vis-a-vis so-called Palestinian Arabs?
Oh, well, our interest is to have them leave Israel and go to Jordan. That's our supreme interest.
So I understand it. So now you're telling me that 2 million or whatever is 4 million, however many Arabs there is in between Jordan and the sea, they're going to take off and they're going to go to Jordan?
Well, I don't say 100%, but you haven't even asked how are we going to incentivize them. And the way
I'm
we're
not
going
talking about it. I'm saying they will not go even if you give $1 million to each.
All right. Well, then, so we differ on that. We say they'll go gladly.
Okay. So now tell me, why do you think they will go for money and people like Hamas?
They're an insignificant number. They're not going to go. They're not going to go. But you know how many refugees there are in, for instance, in Gaza? Out of 1.6 million population, 1.3 million are classified as refugees. And if you go to the West Bank, Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem, there are 2 million Arabs living in Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem. Don't believe the left figures of 2.6 million, not including Jerusalem. 2 million. Of that, 800,000 are still refugees. 800,000. And they don't even vote in the PA. They are called refugees. They have a whole different regime in the West Bank to look after them. And they are living in Israel's gut. They're living in Area C, in all those little pockets of B. They're refugees. Kalkilia, right on Highway 6, refugees. Talcart, refugees. So our plan is to incentivize the refugees to go to Jordan and have their life normalized, get jobs, because they got to build a city there that we want to build, get health care, get everything, and they get a home for free.
They did not want to do it in Judea and Samaria. Why do you think that they were going to move from Judea and Samaria and go to Jordan?
You know how far Ramallah is from Amman? 40 miles. And they have all kinds of family. All these Palestinians are in Jordan, are their family.
Now, let me tell you this. If I'd listen, if you'd offer me a plan that I hear now, and I'd be Arab living in Ramallah, I'd take the money, whatever you give me, but I would never give up my claim to Ramallah.
Well, this isn't without talking to Palestinians. I had 2 Palestinians.
No matter how much you would talk to me, I would never give up my claim to Ramallah or to Jerusalem or to Tel Aviv or Jaffa or everything else, the way they claim now.
Why not? What did you get for 70 years?
Why not? Because I consider it to be my home.
Well, for 70 years, you've never even lived there to begin with, because now, of the total refugees from the start in 48, there's only about 20,000 still alive. Everybody else didn't live there. This is just propaganda that they've come to believe.
This is I understand, but this is, I'm talking about their children and their grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Yeah, they don't know anything. They won't come back. Once they have opportunities that are real opportunities, they're not coming back.
I don't believe. All
right. There you go. You can believe what you want. I believe what I want. And I think they can be incentivized to leave. And that
Where
includes...
are you going to get the money?
The money is insignificant. That's the beauty of this plan. And I can explain that. That's a whole other topic. But before I do, there's 2 aspects to incentivizing them to leave. One is to give them free homes and jobs and citizenship in Jordan. That's one thing. And I'll talk about the cost later. And the second thing is to disincentivize them to stay. We have to have both the carrot and the stick. We can't make a feather bed for them in Israel if we want to encourage them to leave. You can't work across purposes. So that's part of the plan. It won't be so pleasant anymore.
It's not pleasant for them now. Why? How much? It's not pleasant for them now.
But all the politicians in Israel keep talking about making it better for them.
Well, I believe that once they're going to become citizens, full-fledged citizens of Jordan, then those same politicians are going to be talking even more to give them more. You're telling me that you want to give them lots of money, build houses. You're not talking about building houses for people that were deported from Gaza, huh?
Both. Let me
Still
explain.
don't have houses, and we're talking about they're only 10,000. Here we're talking about millions.
Billions, never mind millions.
No, I'm talking about millions of people. When Gaza it was only 10,000.
Millions, yeah.
Yeah. And here we're talking about millions, and you're talking about building houses for them. My God, you know, even Soviet Union and the communist ideal could not do it.
Well, let me say to you, do you want to hear about the plan, or you want to have an opinion without hearing about the plan?
I do want to hear. That's why we're talking.
Okay,
I want, but I do not want to talk about what you expected to hear. But I want to understand how you believe the Palestinians will accept your plan.
Because number one, they're very unhappy with the PA. That is for sure. Okay, and
they're unhappy with PA only because PA is not militant enough for them.
Well, because the PA isn't a democracy and they're oppressive and all kinds of reasons they don't like the PA. Not because they're not militant. No, not because they're not militant. I know they'll vote for Hamas. And you know why? The difference from their point of view, Hamas is a better steward, they think, of values. Like, it's nothing to do with, I want the resistance. And so in any event, they see Hamas as better managers. And Hamas, they think they don't steal. But the truth of the matter is,
Hamas promising and demanding what they want. They want destruction of Israel. They do not want Jews to ever think about rebuilding a third temple on Temple Mount.
Well, I would turn to you. Do you have a better idea?
I do not. We're talking about your idea. Because
yes.
Because I have
in a vacuum. This is the best idea around.
It is.
I understand what you're saying, and we believe that, first of all, contrary to what the left says, and the left says that the violence because they don't have any hope, and we say the contrary. They are violent in the service of their hope. Kill the hope, and they will give up. Forget the hope. It ain't going to happen. No way. This is your option. You're never going to have a state. Israel's never going to give in. Get lost. You got to kill the hope. If they don't have hope, they won't be martyrs, they won't be killing, and they won't be doing all the stuff that you're talking about. So I have a fundamental disagreement with the left that says that this is all about hope, that if they have despair, they kill you. I say no. If they have hope, they kill you. And that's a whole big subject, but that's my belief.
Ted, I have to say, you know, that until now, all of the problems in Middle East were settled by force. When Jews had force on their side, you know, we got this and this and this. When Palestinians had force on their side and Jews showed the weakness, they got autonomy, they got this, they got Gaza, they got deportation of Jews from there. I mean, right now, Israel is, the way I see it, is in horrible position, you know, because it's split. Society is not, I mean,
well, compared to America, Israel's doing pretty well in terms of split society.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, you know, because nobody threatens destruction of America. From
a destruction, except the left threatened destruction of America with Obama.
I understand, but I don't think it will happen. Now, on the other hand, Israel is now challenged from all sides. You know, you have Russia coming in Syria, and Russia just concluded the agreement with Egypt for another army base from both sides of Israel. You have Iran and Russia allies against Israel. And you have Palestinian Arabs, you know, that are ready to help both of them anytime, no matter what they say.
All the more reason to effect the Jordan option. Get rid of the Palestinian problem. All the more reason.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do a Jordan option. Let's change the king of Jordan, and let's force Palestine.
I don't want to kill him. I just want him to get lost.
I did not say kill him. I say let's get rid of it. Did I say kill him?
Oh, well, I wasn't sure if I heard you. Okay.
Let's get rid of, king of Jordan, and let's force or incentivize all of those Arabs, Judea, Samaria, and maybe even Arabs who are citizens of Israel to get up in their cars and move over Jordan River. It
doesn't have to be all. If only half go, we're ahead of the game.
Okay, half go, quarter go, makes no difference. But
no, we don't have a problem with Arabs living in Israel. We have a problem of them being politicized, considering themselves Palestinians, and working against us. If they want to work with us and be loyal citizens, we have no problem with them. And so you got to kill hope. You got to kill hope.
I understand that there's no problems with Arabs who want to be loyal citizens. I understand that. But the thing is that not all of them want to be loyal citizens. In fact, most of them want to be loyal enemies.
Correct. I wouldn't say most. They did a poll recently, 65% of the Arabs in Israel consider themselves Israelis.
Yeah, it's one third plus almost all of their Knesset representatives are against Israel.
Right. But you look at that 1/3, and to a large extent they exist because Israel has permitted a propaganda campaign emanating from the PA to poison their minds. Huge.
Permitted. You do not need to permit nobody. You have Haaretz, you have many other places where left congregates and pushes anti-Israel, anti-Jewish policies in a big way.
Well, sure, it happens outside, but it also happens within Israel.
I'm talking about Haaretz. I'm talking about Haaretz within Israel.
Oh, they're horrible. They're as bad as the New York Times, maybe even worse.
What do you mean they're as bad as New York Times? New York Times, by comparison to them, is timid thing. Would not allow itself things to say like Haaretz says. Haaretz defends itself because they're racially, supposedly Jewish.
Well, Haaretz is the primary news source for Europe. All the Europeans, the European Union, they swear by Haaretz.
Their primary defender and apologist for all
Israelis by Haaretz. Nobody reads Haaretz in Israel because they know what it is.
Okay.
They know what it is.
I understand, In any case, let's leave Haaretz and let's go to Haaretz, and let's see. So now your main plan is talk to Trump, knock out King, tell the army which is made up of Bedouins, now make peace with Arabs, that came there or lived there or related to Arabs of Judea and Samaria, and have democratic society, right?
Yes and no. First of all, you always talk about democracy and all these different things, but in the Arab world, it doesn't work so well, and you've got to be very strong-fisted and tough to manage the society. And that's why there's no democracy in the Middle East. It can't survive. So that's the first point. But in that regard, this is what a dictator in the Arab world does. He gives all kinds of entitlements. And one of the things that Mudar intends to do is increase the entitlements for everybody. Bigger pension, better jobs, healthcare, all kinds of entitlements. That's what he's going to do. With one rule: if you in any way resist our government, you lose all your entitlements. So he makes everybody hostage to the entitlements, and they don't want to risk losing the entitlements.
But I do not know of any country that has even nominal democratic system. that can do something like this. If you don't do what we tell you to do, then horrible things are going to happen to you. The democratic government is not able to do things like this.
Well, here's the thing. You can always give entitlements. Any democratic government can give you more money.
Yes.
Right?
Anyway, more money, as long as money's coming in, yes, the government, after taking a lot to itself, personally to this and that.
They're going to make it better for everybody.
Okay.
And they can maintain power. There's no way they can be removed from power.
Why not?
How? With the army backing them?
75% Palestinians. After you build houses for them, they decide that time has come to start another war against Jews.
Well, you don't proffer a solution. You just proffer a negative.
Ted, I'm not the one being interviewed. You are the one being interviewed.
You're playing the devil's advocate, and it doesn't mean that it will be so. Like Mudar recognizes, he says the Palestinians in Jordan, the Palestinians hate the Jews, but they hate the king more. That's how he
puts it. At this time, because there's no Jews around to kill.
Right? It's true, but they have to be re-educated.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you go about re-educating all those anti-Semites?
Well, if you look at the revolutions taking place in Saudi Arabia. Case in point.
Well, we do not know what is going to happen with the revolution.
We see it already.
No, those changes are tiny, small, nothingness. They may end up being big things, but I don't believe so, because the Islam that is the cornerstone of ideology of Saudi Arabia is going to be there. And like Erdogan, Turkey said, there's no such thing as moderate Islam. It's an insult to Islam.
Well, that's Erdogan, but Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states and Egypt are proceeding otherwise.
Okay, so they're proceeding otherwise now. In 10 years, they're going to be proceeding in the other direction.
They don't have a choice. They need Israel to defeat Iran, and they need Israel to help them with their economy.
Just because somebody ever needed Jews does not mean it was good for Jews eventually.
Well, if you look at all the kingdoms, all the monarchies in Europe for hundreds of years, on the one hand, they'd expel all the Jews, and then they found out that they're in economic trouble, and that's when they would invite the Jews to come back and build their economy. That's an old story.
I understand, but democracies acted a little bit differently. Like, for example, a newly born democracy in 1918 in former Tsarist Russia and Ukraine slaughtered more than 150,000 Jews in few years.
And 20 million Ukrainians also.
So when you tell me about revolution in Saudi Arabia, I do not know the results of that revolution. And you tell me what revolutions in Saudi Arabia? What do I care about a revolution in Saudi Arabia?
Well, first of all, we've been ostracized and boycotted like forever by the Saudis and whatever, and it will be a nice change if for a while they embrace us and we come out of the closet and we don't have to hide the relationship. We'll see where that goes, but I think that's what Trump is pushing for. He's already got them to cut off funding for the any terrorist factions, and they've ostracized Qatar, who wants to support terror. So these are all actually done. Now, they will support the removal of the king in Jordan. And that's part of the plan.
Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes, the Gulf states. Yes, because they want to get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood, their headquarters is in Jordan. And Jordan is closer to Qatar than he is to Saudi Arabia.
But as you said in one of your presentations, Muslim Brotherhood in Jordan is actually quite moderate form of Muslim Brotherhood.
They're the head office. They're not a moderate form. But in any event, they're going to be ostracized. They're going to be declared a terrorist state or a terrorist organization.
But Muslim Brotherhood as Hamas is completely different story.
Different. I didn't mention Hamas. You did.
But Hamas is Hamas is a branch of Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, yes, they are, but they're also Hamas. They're functioning to an extent independently. They are going to Iran, and Iran is currying favor with them and supporting them the way they support Hezbollah. So Iran is a big factor there too. But Hamas isn't long for this world. They're on borrowed time now. They're going. This is the big battle that's shaping up right now. We've got the Arab countries, including Egypt, in favor of destroying Hamas and the Brotherhood. There's no question about that. And now we have to take advantage of that.
I understand. But those countries, you say now we have to take advantage of it. We're talking, we started talking about Jordan as a solution. And the idea was that once so-called Palestinians are going to become the power in Jordan, meaning they're going to remove the king, the army, a portion of it is going to side with them. After a bloody civil war, they're going to institute a democratic government. And then, thanks to your incentive, many of them are going to move east of Jordan River.
Let's talk about two things. Let's talk about two different things. On the one hand, you can say that this apparent change in the Arab world is not real, it's temporary, and it'll come back to hunch. And that's essentially what you're saying. You can't count on them doing what they say they're doing now. And that may be true. That may be true. Let's not even dispute that. Let me just stop at the point, if we can get Mudar in power, and Mudar opens up the door by inviting all citizens, Jordanian citizens, which are all the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, to come to Jordan, then if we can get 1 million, never mind 2 million, 1 million to take this gift and go there, then we can annex the land. We don't have to have that extra 1 million population. We don't have to give citizenship to the rest. Why? Because they have citizenship in Jordan. They can't even complain it's apartheid because they have citizenship in Jordan. We're going to be so much better off. Now let's assume 1 million go, and then all these Arabs change their stripe and come back to what they were. Great, but we've got 1 million Arabs less. Nothing is forever, but but the whole thing gets rid of 1 million Arabs for us, it makes our life in the Judea and Samaria and the annexation of it much easier. So that's part of it. And we must kill hope. If there's no hope...
You have 60,000 African refugees, or what how some call it.
We're down to 40,000, I'm happy to say.
What is it?
We're down to 40,000 now.
Why, 20,000 already were deported?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that they, in the process of being deported, they have not been.
No, it's been over years. 20,000 have gone. We're down to 40,000. Here's another number that'll surprise you.
Yeah.
20,000 Palestinians leave Judea and Samaria every year.
Okay, so in 10 years it's going to be 200,000. In 100 years it's going to be 2 million. But in that 100 years, there's going to be not 4 million, there's going to be 50 million of them.
First of all, here's how the numbers work. 10 years ago, the Arabs were having like 6 children per woman, and Israel's down low. Now, Israel fertility exceeds the Palestinian fertility, number one. And so now...
It's only at the expense, it exceeds the expense of strictly Orthodox Jews, many of who do not want to serve in the army.
No, well, first of all, that's a whole separate issue. But the reason that we have dramatically increased the fertility per woman is not that the Orthodox are having more babies. In fact, they're having less babies. It's that the secular Jews from Russia are having more babies. This is a phenomenon that goes right to, and all the secular world in Israel is 3 to 4 children now. That's the norm among the left wing. So our increased numbers have to do with them not with the Orthodox, who have dropped from 9 children per woman down to around 5.5 or 6.
Well,
they've gone the other way.
In any case, so that's fine.
We're
talking about right now. We're talking about this thing, your idea. So basically, your friend becomes a new dictator of Jordan instead of king.
Yeah, call it what you want.
Well, they can be called nothing else. A puppet dictator at that, and he lives long enough. He lives long enough.
Also an issue.
What is it?
It's also an issue. He has to, make sure he has food testers and whatever. He has to survive.
Well, food testers is the least of the problems, There are many other ways, really. But let's say that he stays there and he has a loyalty, for at least number of years of some military guys, who really, really for him and who want to be friend with Israel. I can't imagine. I'm sorry. But let's say that this fantasy becomes reality. And on top of it, that 500,000, 1 million makes no difference. X number of Arabs from Judea and Samaria decide to take up your offer. How much you're going to be giving them?
Well, let me get into the numbers. Give me a moment to do that.
Okay.
We have done a study of housing costs in Jordan, and we can build apartments, including land, for $32,000 per apartment, including land.
That is now, as long as Israel is not building anything there at 32,000. The moment Israel is going to start building anything there, the cost per apartment is going to go to 300,000.
Where? In Jordan?
Jordan, yes.
No, first of all, let me finish this scenario.
Okay.
We can, that's what apartments cost, and you can add another 8,000 for infrastructure, and the infrastructure that you need is highways and bridges and schools and all kinds of things that accommodate the apartments, right? So that increases, and you end up, the price tag we have for that is about $30 billion. Now, what's interesting about that number is that you're worrying about incentive. There are Martin Sherman is proposing to give $300,000 a family as an incentive to emigrate, and he's been arguing for this for 10 years. Moshe Feiglin wants to incentivize people to leave. He's also on board the notion of incentivizing. Now, Bennett's party, the faction with Smotrich, he's also come out with incentivizing immigration. Everybody's on board. That's the norm here now. So you have to open up the possibility that this is where the solution is going to be.
Sorry, all of these, from my point of view, cockamamie schemes.
Okay.
But cockamamie schemes, and they talk that way because they cannot say that the only way to get rid of Arabs from Judea and Samaria is war.
Well, we've done that. We have to do it again. But I'm saying this: that they are building.
What we have done. I mean, the flight of Arabs in 1948 was spontaneous and accidental to what Israel was trying to do.
Correct. I mean, we know that war results in emigration, whether it's in Syria, wherever it is, war, and not total, but there's emigration. Now, but I would rather put my money into this because you know how little money, 20 or $30 billion is to Israel? It's nothing.
I understand. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is this, that nobody is going to accept it. And it's meaningless to talk about it. In fact, talking about it shows that Israel is weak.
And what would show that they're strong?
I have no idea. You're being interviewed, not me.
Hey, you're approaching me on false basis. First of all, you say, "Oh, I'm really intrigued with what you're doing. It sounds very interesting." and you spend all your time hammering it down, and will not allow a new thought to enter.
I did not
allow a new thought to enter your head. That's no good.
Ted, I did not tell you not truth. I actually found your idea very, very interesting. And what I'm trying to understand, I'm not criticizing you for the idea.
But you are resisting so much, it's going to be stillborn in your own mind. You won't allow the possibility that is doable. So I can't get to that point. You're so...
Not only in my mind, Feiglin started a long time, it was that idea, you know, and I don't know, at that time he was talking about 200,000. It really makes no difference how much. But the idea, in my mind, he was not talking about what you were saying, you know, that this is Jordan-is-Palestine, you know. He was talking about just give them money in order to leave Israel. Now, what you are saying is, I found for him a place to go to.
That's cheaper.
There's 22 Arab countries. 22 Arab countries. You know, this Abbas himself declares that Palestinians and Jordanians are one people.
Yes, yes.
It
makes sense. It makes sense, is what you're saying. There's a reason to think in terms of Jordan as the depository for Arab immigration. Never mind the other countries.
Why never mind the other countries? I mean, they all claim that they're
saying no.
Huh?
We have no relationship with them. They're saying no. The other countries.
Okay, and Jordan says yes. Jordan says
yes. That's going to be the difference. And their family, they're all Palestinians. They have family relationships there.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I'll give you one other. Let me just expand the discussion. If there are 1.3 million refugees in Gaza, and Gaza is right beside Egypt, Egypt is now building a whole new Cairo that's going to house 15 million people. So the 1.3 is less than 10% of that development. And if Israel, if they only go there over 10 years, it is an insignificant increase in their population.
What are they building? What is Egypt building?
They're building a new Cairo because the old Cairo is so decrepit. You know, the elite don't want to live there. So in the southeast of Cairo, they're building a whole new 15 million centered population place. And our research has found out that housing in Egypt is half the price of housing in Jordan.
So there you go. There you go. Egypt right now, according to you, already is creating powerful economic incentives for these people to go that way.
Say that again. I missed that. Egypt
said, even without Israeli government giving anything towards the end, Egypt, in its development of this new
Egypt
Cairo,
doesn't want them there. We have to incentivize Egypt to open the doors for them.
Incentivize Egypt. Why are you talking about it?
Egypt won't take them in.
Let me explain to you something, you know, from Jewish history. Yeah. Whenever Jews offered any money, not backed up by force, they were robbed and killed. Because whoever has the money presents itself as a great opportunity for murder.
Well, they're not going to murder Israel. They're not going to get the money until they're living in Egypt or Jordan. Nothing's paid up front.
That's not the point. The point, what I'm saying is, if you tell me that you want me to do something for you and you're going to be paying, first of all, you're showing me that you're a coward, that you cannot fight, you do not want to shed blood, and secondly, that I have a way of getting some money from you by killing you.
You mean that you're telling the Arabs they can kill you to get money? Who would believe that?
Not money. They do not need to take money. That's what's happening always. Always. They want Jerusalem. They do not want to go to Amman.
Okay, all I'm saying is your thoughts are so negative, you leave no hope for change that's good for Israel. And what you want to resort is we need Armageddon, we need a war, we have to slaughter them, we have to chase them out, and then we'll have our country. That's all I'm hearing from you.
No, what I'm saying is that we have to be ready to defend ourselves.
Who's saying otherwise?
Many people.
No, we have to. In Israel, everybody knows we have to defend ourselves, buy ourselves, as the expression goes. And we're buying all the planes. We spend the highest percentage of our GDP on military defense. We know we have to defend ourselves.
Well, that's good. You know, if people...
If we get these Arabs to leave Gaza, we'll annex Gaza too, and we'll have all that coastline to have a Riviera on the Mediterranean. That much more coastline. So part of this plan,
annex Gaza again?
After 1.3 million leave, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm with you. You know, after
now I asked you a question. I told you 20,000.
Yes.
Leave. Why do they leave if they have such a desire for Ramallah? It's a hellhole. They want out.
They leave as immigrants, but they do not give up their claim to that land.
They can't come back. When they leave, they're gone.
I understand that they cannot come
That's
back.
giving up the plan.
So after 6
They're saying,
months,
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then once we create a whole movement, and by the way, if by doing what we are recommending we do in Jordan, that means within a couple of years, the PA is over and UNRWA is over. Both of them will be absorbed in Jordan. This is the follow from this plan. It's the end of the PA, the end of UNRWA.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Wednesday, supposedly, at least according to some people saying things, United States, its president, Trump, is going to say that, I do not know, the reason I'm so equivocal, because I do not know even if he does say it, what exactly he will mean, and he may declare Jerusalem to be recognized by the United States as the capital of.
Well, we'll know this week. We'll know this week what he's going to do.
Yeah, I do not know. Do you have some idea?
Well, they say he's not going to move the embassy. He's going to recognize it as part of Israel. I'd be quite satisfied with that as a starting point, because they don't even recognize a baby born in Jerusalem as an Israeli citizen. Remember, you can't have it on your passport. The state.
But what if he is going to say that he does recognize Jerusalem, but say West Jerusalem as capital of Israel?
Well, that's another story, but it's still a start.
Well, then it's going to be much worse than not recognizing it all.
Just gave a speech this week in which she said there's 3 pillars to our position, and one is that Jerusalem remain united and the capital of Israel, and the Israeli government is sticking with that. They're not going to allow it to be divided. Secondly, that I think she said that we're not giving up any more land, and I forgot what the third thing, but 3 pillars. That only Israel can defend itself. If you know that Obama wanted Israel to get out of the Jordan Valley after 40 years or 20 years, and they were negotiating how long. And currently, Trump is on board. Israel stays there forever, which means no Palestinian state. The IDF maintains control over everything, and the Trump isn't thinking of changing that.
Okay, well, look at this. If your friend is going to become a big honcho in Jordan,
yeah,
and I hope that you're going to be promoted to his main Jewish advisor. He has to say thank you somehow, no?
I am the main Jewish advisor now. We're partners almost. We're that close. in what's happening in
Don't say
Australia.
it. Don't say it because everybody is going to say that guy is just being ruled
Con-
by Jews. Yes, by Zionists.
Oh, no. Believe me, Mudar's a very smart guy, and nobody controls Mudar. I have to tell you that.
But with you standing next to him, everybody is going to say, Zionists are ruling him.
I think that we had 100 years with this war. I think the war is ending. And part of that is going to have to be that Trump is not going to allow Iran to get the bomb. That I believe. And that means...
Well, this agreement expires, what, in 8 years, right?
Yeah, we're down to 8 years. Yeah, real soon.
And 8 years from now, Trump is not going to be in the office.
You think?
I know.
7 years
Only
from now.
2 terms. Only 2 terms.
Yeah, 7 years he's going to be in.
What is it?
So then he has to do something in the 7 years, not 8 years.
Or he has to do according to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think he's going to do? I mean, we're almost coming to a conclusion of our interesting discussion, but what do you think he's going to do?
Well, first of all, I just published an article today, actually, or was it yesterday, in which I said that Trump has a plan, because Yalon just wrote a big article saying he doesn't have a plan. And I took issue.
He said that he does not give a vision.
Yeah, he's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's in control. And you get the whole answer by reading my article, because it's over 2,000 words, a big article. And essentially, he is getting normalized relations between Israel and the Gulf states and Egypt. They're going to come out of the closet. It's going to be public. And together, they're going to push back on Iran. And America, rather than having boots on the ground supported by the Arab states, he's reversing it. Now the Arab states are going to have the boots on the ground, and Israel's going to have the boots on the ground, and America is going to be supporting them. So Trump is going to...
Boots on the ground where?
Wherever it's needed. Hezbollah has to be pushed back. All different... When I say boots on the ground...
We're talking about now war?
Yeah, absolutely. They're pushing back, really pushing back. They're not going to allow Iran to keep making encroachments. So that's part of Trump's plan. They're pushing back.
So we're moving a little bit from our discussion because...
you asked me the grand plan. I'm telling you the grand plan. There's a plan.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, there's a plan. And part of that plan is like Iran really wants to attack, or pardon me, Saudi Arabia really wants to attack Iran. They want to be done with them as a threat. And
they cannot defeat them even in Yemen. They cannot do anything against Iran.
I know, but that's why they need Israel.
And Israel can?
Israel can certainly defeat Hezbollah.
Israel hears only some jets in the air. It can do some bombing.
Well, but
Iran is going to move its army with Iraq and with Syria and with Hezbollah and with Hamas and Palestinian, your friends from this side. Israel is going to have a big trouble.
Well, listen, Russia won the war for Assad from the air. They didn't have boots on the ground to speak of.
Yeah, but Assad had his own troops, and Hezbollah helped him a lot. And the United States from another side was bombing too, and Iraq also was. It's a different thing.
The United States wasn't bombing Assad so much. They were focused on ISIS. But that's a whole other story.
And look at this. We're talking about 500,000 dead there in Syria.
Yeah.
I mean, in Israel, the way I see it, was 100,000 rockets in the hands of Hezbollah ready to go. Huh?
There's no half measure there. When you decide to deal with it, you have to have a massive invasion. As fast as you can, you have to invade and take over all those sites. I mean, you got maybe...
You need to bomb them out of existence.
Bomb the shit out of them, absolutely. I'm talking.
And I'll tell you, if I'd be Nasrallah, Nasrallah, I'm sorry, when I say Nasrallah in Russian, it means horrible.
Good, yeah, well named.
But in any case, if I'd be Nasrallah, I'd move first. I'd take over some northern settlements, cities, and I'd make them a hostage.
Well, it depends who preempts first, doesn't it?
Okay, so there is, but you're saying that the war there is coming, huh?
Yeah, I believe war is coming.
And according to Abbas, if Wednesday Trump is going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, on Thursday we're going to have another massive intifada.
I don't believe it. I don't care about it. I'm not worried about it. His threats are immaterial to me and to Israelis. We don't believe it. We don't care about it. We've seen this before. But look, even if they do deliver, at least we have Jerusalem. That's better than having all this terror and not having Jerusalem.
I agree with you.
We don't care. We certainly don't want to worry about their threats. That's for sure.
Can never worry about threats.
That's right. That's right.
So I wish you and your great friend who is in hiding in England. By the way, is he well protected or not?
You're never protected enough. He's got 3 kids, right? There's the public.
I wish you and him lots of.
You know what? You don't have to hold your breath for long because we expect this to take place within 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking imminent in Jordan within 6 months.
So talk to Netanyahu and make him set aside $30 billion because within 6 months he'll need to start spending it.
You got it. You got it.
I'm going to tell you this, that if your plan works, I'm going to chip in personally.
Good for you. Okay, well, we're going to see. By the way, $30 billion is a little under 10% of our GDP. But what's interesting is we have the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the Western world. We're at 68% debt to our GDP. America is 112% debt to their GDP.
Look, don't try to convince me. I'd give $30 billion for 1 million Arabs east of Jordan as well.
It's worth it. There you go. Okay, that's
not the point of our disagreement.
Okay, because it's, they say it's going to rebuild Syria is 200 billion. This 30 billion is nothing if it solves the problem.
I understand. It's not
a pleasure.
We're not arguing about the anyway.
Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Sei gesund, as they say in China.
And stark.
That's good. And the very best. And hopefully we'll talk again.
Okay, look forward to it. Thank you. Bye.